Great to have with us at halftime, Dave Elder, the commissioner of the GCAA. Dave, how are you?
Doing wonderful, Robert. Just trying to get everything ready. We're in the midst of the holiday season. We survived Thanksgiving, and I hope you did too. And Christmas is just around the corner. So plus this week's exams for everybody. So exams are going on. Basketball's still going. Going full tilt. So we're in the midst of everything. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, we are recording this on the 5th, I think it is, of December. Who knows? It's going to air in December, could air in January, but just be aware that it is recorded a little in advance and we may make references to things already gone by. Um, all right. I want to talk about to begin with, and it's something we always touch on, and that is the fact that over the course of the last decade, there have been schools that have integrated into the 4-year system and left the GCAA. But I am hearing these little birdies are telling me that there could be some tech schools coming in the future. So is there some growth, some potential growth coming?
Well, I don't know who the little birdies are by chance, but there have not been to this point any presidents reach out to me or anybody from other institutions at this point. So, that's the thing. There's 27 technical colleges. We have four. Uh, you know, 15 years ago, we looked at this, trying to increase it through the tech school system, and most of them felt like that, you know, Tech Force mission, Tech Force philosophy and mission is workforce readiness. So, I don't know how many will come that and to what fruition that would be. That'd be nice. Don't know if it'll happen, but at this point in time, nobody's reached out at this point about how do we go about getting in.
So that is your official statement, right? That
That is it. And also, I mean, we've made some changes on the national office as well as far as membership. I'm serving on the national membership committee. The change in college athletics right now, you see with everything that's going on with, okay, is junior college go count as years of eligibility? Does it? Doesn't? All that stuff's going through the court system right now with the Pavia thing. Uh, so there's a lot going on. And unfortunately right now we're having a lot of the prep schools pop up. And a lot of those are not all of them. There are some that do it the right way, but a majority of them don't. It's a more of a fly by night thing, and somebody gets a wild idea and say, "Hey, we're going to do this and get these kids this, and we're going to promise them the moon." That never happens. They say we're going to, we'll take college courses with, community college or a college that's nearby, and it ends up being the kids are the ones that are left out hanging to dry on it. And these people, unfortunately, and me, I shoot straight up. They try to line their pockets, and then they're gone after a number of years, and the kids are left holding the bag, and they're promised a pie in the sky, and it never happens. So what we've done nationally, we've put a lot of teeth into. It used to be you could say, "Hey, we want to join." You fill out a membership form, you're in. Now you've got the basic one is you've got to pay a $10,000 application fee. That was just recently passed amongst our board of regents. And so if you're serious, then you're going to do it. If not, it doesn't happen. And so that you have to have a full-time athletic director on staff. So we put a lot of teeth into this. So we've seen the effects of those that are serious are still going through the process. Those that aren't say, "Oh, wow, that's just, they really weren't that serious about it." And that's the thing is college athletics is not club. It's not something, "Hey, we're going to have a little club team get together, play some games, intramurals, that thing." College athletics, there's a lot to it. And it's the next step there. So we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, and that colleges that want to come in are doing it the right way. They got to be accredited through one of the 6 national groups. Like for Georgia here, it's SACs. So they've got to be accredited through one of the accrediting agencies. So we're trying to really make sure we've got a lot of teeth in there that people are doing it the right way.
have these changes been implemented as a result of the prep schools, or was it a combination prep involved and then other instances as well?
Well, part of the problem is, through changes in Georgia, we're losing schools because of mergers and things that you had mentioned and we've talked about before, through mergers, through people moving up levels. So that's why if the tech schools come in, that'd be great, but it's not like you've got a new pool to draw from, especially if what our mission with athletics doesn't merge or meet with the technical school's mission. And a lot of them don't have the facilities. So there's other things that come into play here, which things that not things that you can't overcome. It just makes it more difficult to do to run it properly because most college athletics have their own facilities on campus, have the staff, have all the things they needed to do it properly. It's just harder with a lot of the technical colleges. They have to jump through more hoops to get those things done. So, and when our schools play prep schools, if something happens at a game, our kids are still held to the same standard. If there's a fight or something like that, our kids get suspended. If their kids at prep school, there's no ramifications, no penalties for those guys. They're back playing the next game. So I always tell our schools it's when you play the prep schools, it's buyer beware. Because you know what you're getting into, that if something happens, that these things are still going to be in play. So it's just one of those things that it's just where we are in the dynamics right now with college athletics. It's crazy.
Are there junior colleges in Georgia that currently don't play athletics that might be a potential member at some point?
No, and it was matter of fact, we don't have junior colleges anymore. All of our colleges 10 years ago were made state colleges, and with that, then they start offering 4-year degrees. So at that time, they didn't have enough degrees to go participate 4-year athletically. A lot of our colleges now are at that point where they're offering enough 4-year degrees that they could keep kids there for 4 years. So our colleges are having to make a decision. What do we do? And that's why we're seeing that, Andrew's leaving to go 4-year NAIA. We've got a couple other schools that their plan right now is to leave in a couple of years. So we'll see where we're at. 2 years from now, we might be down to 6 schools, which, we originally had 20. So, with the mergers and then elimination of the summer programs, it gets down to bottom line with the state, it gets down to dollars and cents. People can say, well, we're going to keep this or we're going to do that. But when it comes down to the dollar, that drives everything ultimately at the end. East Georgia is merging with Georgia Southern this past summer. They wanted to keep athletics. So they're now looking to apply NAI because you can't have a junior college at a 4-year school. That's almost like having a feeder school. So NCAA wasn't going to allow that. So that's where we are right now. There's going to be a lot of changes in the next few years. So, I mean, here's the thing. Back in the 70s, Georgia and Alabama were one region. Then we got enough and we split off. Georgia stayed region 17. Alabama became 22. And so we're at the point now, if we're down to 6, I've already talked with the national office and Alabama and Dean Meyer said, hey, just to be on the radar, this might be where we might have to go in a couple of years. Merge back with that. And there's some other dynamics across the country in regards to that too. So
Well, you kind of touched on my next question, which was in August, we did discuss this, the possibility of merging some regions. So now you're kind of, is that more, not more solid, but more an option if need be?
oh, that's always an option on the table. Yeah, I just can't see the national office keeping Georgia and Region 17 as a standalone region with only 6 schools. If that's where it happens, if the 4 tech schools stay, and then Oxford, Emory, Georgia Military, uh, you know, I just can't see that happening. And the closest thing, because everybody is basically I-75 west of the state, Alabama would be a natural merger there. But then again, Robert, we're talking about this. Things could change by next summer. It's just how the dynamics of athletics is just really changing right now.
I know we're in the midst of basketball, but I want to talk a little football because Georgia Military's got a problem from the standpoint of scheduling. Not only are you losing an Andrew, but you're losing a Lackawanna right there this season. 3 games they played, they won't play a year from now. So how does a team like Georgia Military put together a 10 or 11 game schedule?
That's going to be difficult. I mean, not only Lackawanna, Monroe and Sussex are also leaving. They're going the 4-year route. Lackawanna, Monroe, Sussex, they're all going 4-year. So yes, that's going to affect him. Rob's going to do everything he can to have a complete NJCA schedule. I'm on the football committee. I've told the guys, I said, y'all sit in your little bubbles because you've got the Kansas League, Mississippi League, but y'all want to badmouth Georgia Military and say, okay, we don't think they play strength of schedule. Play them. Rob Manchester will play you anytime, anywhere.
Mhm.
And so if you've got 2 open weeks, schedule them. And then we'll talk about strength of schedule after that. So, Snow's going down into the Texas League. Did you know that?
I think I had heard that. I didn't know it was Texas. I was thinking Kansas, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew they were moving into a conference.
So really, Georgia Military is going to be the lone independent. And I mean, when we had Lackawanna and Snow and Monroe, we can at least try to argue some of that. He might have to play some of the NCAA, NJCAA D3 schools possibly. But Rob's going to do everything he can to get a full NJCAA schedule. So we'll see if some of the other coaches step up. I've presented that to him and basically said, put your money where your mouth is.
All right, let's talk basketball. We're in basketball season, so we got to talk a little round ball. The agenda for the postseason tournaments, the same as always, where the champion on the ladies' side hosts, and on the men's side, highest seed after the quarterfinals.
But that's what we do. Yes, we'll play those quarterfinals on that Tuesday for the men's, and then the highest seed will host the semis and the finals, and on the women's, the champion will garner that host throughout the tournament.
Last year, there was the overlap, and there's an overlap again this year. That's kind of relatively new. Do you foresee that continuing, that overlap of the women and men?
That all started when the women wanted to play the same time the men did. I don't know where there was an issue with if the men played before the women nationally or vice versa. I didn't see, to me there wasn't an equity issue. I don't know why somebody made that an equity issue. You got to play at the same time. What? That's an equity. So that change has forced us to have that overlap. And you and I both know you and I can't be at both places at one time. And so that's made it tough. And so I've tried to work it where say, okay, how do we change that where we can get it? Is that okay? The women play 2 days before. They play the semifinals, and then on the finals of the women's, the men are having the semifinals. So at least I can be at all of the women's and then at the finals of the men's. So that's how we've tried to make that work. Because in my role, I'm supposed to be at both of them.
All right, we're trying to squeeze everything into a 15-minute halftime, so we've got about 2 minutes left.
All right.
Got to talk baseball and softball. Let's see, they're same location for the baseball conference tournament ABAC, but different location for softball.
Yeah, softball will be at Georgia Highlands at their complex. Beautiful $10 million baseball softball facility. Softball will be there this year. ABAC wanted to host again. The coaches were fine with that. So we'll be back down at ABAC, letting them do the work. But then a good thing for ABAC is they get to see all the players. That's like free recruiting to them. So we'll be back down in Tifton, and we'll be at both spots this spring.
Dave Elder, always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm sure we will do this again soon.
Robert, thank you, and we'll see you this season, buddy. Take care.